follow them wherever they go. Oh, I get a funny feeling inside of me when I see George Best score.
It was disgraceful. As soon as we kicked off, one of their players ran straight across the Dennis Law and punched him. First time I touched the ball, somebody kicked me. I wouldn't like to tell you where he kicked me, but... And after that, yeah, you just sort of, you were playing for nothing, you know, every time you held the ball. And even when the ball wasn't there, I mean, nobody Styles, yeah, they stuck the nut on him, punched him, even when he was nowhere near the ball.
Have you ever had treatment like this before, or is it something completely new to you?
It's the first time I've ever seen anything like it in my life. It's completely different, anything I've ever been used to or ever seen.
The British sports writers spared no adjectives condemning Estudiantes, who beat United by 1 goal. On Wednesday there is a return match at United's home ground in Manchester, and there is alarm over what might happen there. Many Manchester United fans believe they have a score to settle. Last week, a World in Action team flew to Argentina to examine the conflict and face the so-called animals and savages on their own home ground. We found they have a completely different view of what actually happened at the match, and we found they were hurt, convinced that there was more than just football behind what was said about them. An Argentinian sports writer who reported the match.
At one time, Argentine football was football based strictly on ball control and on beautiful plays which sent the crowd wildly happy and didn't produce many goals. It has tended to go more towards a European game with more long passes, with more speed, with more fitness, and a tougher game. I would say that we have had dirty players, and I will not say that in some games we have not been dirty, but so have England and so have every country in the world. I don't think there's any reason to say that the Argentines or the South Americans are dirtier than the Europeans.
Manchester United came home from Argentina convinced that they had been playing against a very dirty team. Something strange has happened. Either they are telling lies or you are telling lies.
Well, I was at the game, I saw the game, and I've said before that I think Estudiantes were a rougher team and they made more fouls than Manchester did. I would agree with that. But from there to say they're a dirty team is a very long distance. Apart from that, some of the other things that have been said by the British press and apparently by the players suggest that they are not telling the truth in everything. But I think that there was a certain amount of rough stuff, yes, but I would say on both sides, maybe Estudiantes more than the other. But there were some English players who made some fouls too, let's not forget that. And some of them weren't exactly soft little fouls either.
Boca Stadium, Buenos Aires, where the first match was played. One headline in Britain called it the bear pit of Boca. Like many South American grounds, Boca has a moat to keep the crowd off the pitch. There we talked to an Estudiantes fan so fanatical that he once travelled for 6 days on a bus to watch his team play in Brazil. The effort lost him 8 pounds in weight, and Estudiantes lost the game.
First, I must tell you that I haven't seen a real good match since more or less 1 year or 2. But I think that the first cause or the main character of this unfair play is the money. And there's a proverb that it says that money doesn't make happiness. But in this case, in football, for the player, it's all money. I mean, 99% is the money. Money represents for him, it's all. So they play here in this field, and they are thinking on that money.
One British sports writer found his night at the notorious Boca Stadium the most terrifying experience of my life. But on the night of Manchester's match, the 66,000 fans were in fact subdued and orderly. Manchester United players were being thrown off balance too, by having their hair pulled, for instance.
The purpose of pulling people's hair is, for instance, to well, to exasperate the rival, and that exasperation will finish with the sent off the field of that player.
Pachame, the forward who cut Bobby Charlton's leg, and Bilardo, the half-back, were reckoned to be the worst offenders. Madeiro, the left-back, was not criticised. All the players denied that it was a particularly dirty match. They said the match reports were exaggerated.
The
reporters who came here have done terrible harm to the English reputation, and the people feel very anti-English at present. They totally falsified the truth. We are in no way animals. We are footballers and play hard, but not animals. Have you ever seen a horse or a cow play football? They said the crowd were animals, but the British ambassador was in that crowd. Is he an animal?
Estudiantes' home ground at La Plata, 40 miles from Buenos Aires, is modest. Its size does little justice to a team who are the South American champions and who are now competing for the championship of the world. Until a few years ago, Estudiantes were just a local team. Several of the players are university graduates, and there are 3 doctors in the side. Their name means the students. Last Sunday they were playing a friendly match against another local team. The crowd was fairly sparse, but in high spirits. The fans take their team's tactics for granted and believe the English team were just bad losers.
Well, you've seen the tape, I saw the match, and you know that your press, I suppose that what we are told that your press says is what yellow press says. I can't believe that really good newspapers, important newspapers, serious ones, may lie in the same degree that, in the same quantity that some newspapers are told here in our country.
What were you told that our papers said about the Argentines?
Well, what your newspaper said really hurts me.
What did they say then?
Well, they said that we were savage and that we were nearly criminals. You say that our players proved here to yours, poor yours. Come on, are you going to tell me that yours didn't pull ours to serve?
Hair is a bit of an obsession with the Argentinians. The police chop off any long hair they can get hold of. The Argentinians found George Best long on hair and short on guts, and they found the length of World in Action's hair unmanly too. Manliness, what they call machismo, is very important to the Argentinians. Only one United player had machismo, Nobby Stiles. They felt all the rest were a disappointment, chickening out of a match even before the kick-off. But they were most distressed after the match when they heard themselves called animals and savages in the British press reports. When the crowd discovered that the camera team among them came from England, and worse still from Manchester, they became hostile. They began spitting and shouting, "Liars, liars." Then they started throwing things. The Argentinian police came to our rescue. We were escorted to the dressing rooms until after the match. Then they walked us to our cars. Argentinians believe that the hostile match reports are just part of a continuing Cold War which Britain is waging in Argentina. They're convinced it was English chicanery that robbed them of the World Cup in 1966. They see the dispute over the Falkland Islands and our foot and mouth restrictions on their beef as examples of the same English malice.
I'm an Argentine and my grandparents are English. I have English blood in my veins. As anyone who's proud of the land of their ancestors, I was disgusted by the reaction of the great majority of the British press.
The thing that I don't understand is that on one hand you have the English press saying that you play like animals and things, and you saying that it's just not true. So someone is making a mistake, somebody's lying somewhere. Well, how has this happened?
I can account for it from, I would say, on two different ways. One, that Estudiantes were a rougher team, and two, that Manchester lost. I believe that there are poor losers everywhere in the world, and we've got them here in this country too. Obviously, England is not free of them.
As far as we were concerned, we just couldn't understand the reactions that came out in the British press about this match. We saw what we regard as a reasonably clean game, perhaps a little monotonous game, perhaps a little boring game. But it certainly wasn't a matter of brutal fouls for a straight United attack, or the players were almost injured by the multitude of missiles and fireworks which were thrown onto the pitch.
Among the few Englishmen in the crowd at the match last month were two English students who now live in Buenos Aires. They'd gone there to cheer United.
The impression seems to be in the newspapers at home that it's dreadful what the wops out there are doing to our lads. It's just not true. The match wasn't that bad. We were up in the gods in the roughest area of the stadium, supposedly, and absolutely nothing happened. In fact, it was disappointing to a certain extent.
Not a voice. Not a voice said it through. Why is it?
I'm saying it now, madam, so
yes,
if you give me a chance. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, but are they going to print what you are saying?
No, they're not printing it, they're filming it, madam.
But are they going to...
Well, I should imagine so. That's what they're doing it for.
I don't know, it's only a bluff what you are doing now. I'm sorry,
It's on
no?
the television in Britain next Monday. If you'd like to go to Britain, you'll see it.
No, madam, we don't go to this length, these lengths for publicity purposes.
It's shameful what you wrote.
Madam, I didn't write it. I'm here defending you, dear.
Yes, I know. You are right, but it's shame what they wrote.
Yes, I agree, and that's what I'm saying, if you give me a chance.
Sir Matt, he was also lying. Exactly lying. It's not true what he said.
Sir Matt, did you say?
Yes.
I see. I wouldn't like to comment on that because I don't know what he said. I read several reports.
I read it every day here, and it's a shame.
Yes.